Well, viewers, I've overstepped the mark once again, and it's because we've reached 8,000 subscribers, and here we are in a 2020 Honda E Advance. But is it any good? Should you care? Let's find out, shall we? Welcome to Contingency Reviews. So the Honda E was launched right at the beginning of 2020, although it was really quite an anticipated car. I remember having made discussions in 2019 with people about the fact that it was coming out and they wanted to order one. It was launched at the beginning of 2020 in our market, and it continues to be on sale to this day. This is the advanced model. There really are only basically two trim options. There is also a base model, which actually got effectively renamed a special edition, but that's been taken off sale, I think, now. The main difference between the two of those is the base model, or the special edition, it only has about 134 horsepower, whereas this advanced model has 152 horsepower. 0 to 60 in this car is 8 seconds or so, and top speed's under 100 miles an hour, which is actually quite common for electric cars, but that I think is deliberately so that you don't get the idea that this is some kind of sports car, because it's not. But as I'm driving down this road, it gathers speed really progressively. I've driven many electric cars, many from MG, also a Fiat 500e, BMW i3, and a Volkswagen ID3, so I've driven quite a few of them. And this one is very smooth and easy. The suspension on these roads near Chelmsford is actually really smooth. It's surprisingly smooth. When we think back to the BMW i3 that I drove in 2018, yes, it was one of the first ever reviews on the channel on i3. That definitely was worse than this. The track is actually different front and back, and also the tyre size is different, interestingly. We're currently in the normal mode. I'm just going to actually move it into the sport mode, and the steering has massively weighted up. This is far more akin to what I would actually prefer. I prefer heavier steering in a car, and this actually has removed some of the electrical power assistance from the steering, and it's good. I'd also like to try this car, I think, in the one pedal mode. I think it's this button just there. There we go. And then we've got massive regen braking. You can actually adjust the level of regen braking with these pedals behind the steering wheel. So we're just on the outskirts of Chelmsford here, and it's a perfect car for driving in an urban environment. The cameras are really strange in places of wing mirrors, but you get used to it. And everything's really smooth and really quiet. I'm actually not as distracted by the two enormous 12.3-inch infotainment systems in here as I thought I would be. The display in front of the driver is all you kind of need most of the time, and actually it will show you what direction you're going in terms of, you know, roughly where you're facing. Actually, we're coming to a halt now, and I do not need to use the brake pedal at all. It just comes straight to a halt, which the sort of conditions that we're in, we've hit a bit of traffic, is absolutely ideal. Probably time to tell you a bit about the charging of the Honda E. It charges at a maximum of 100 kilowatts DC, which means that 0 to 80% can be achieved in 30 minutes. Now, that's probably because the battery size is only 35.5 kilowatt hours, which is very small for an electric car. In fact, the range quoted is only 136 miles, and it's even less on this car with 17-inch wheels. But really, there is a very good video on Ryan's channel that I'll link to in the description below, where he goes into the reasons why he bought this car. Ryan, like me and many of you I suspect, really likes the older cars. He's got a Citroen Azara Coupe, the VTS model that I've driven on No Budget Reviews, and I'll leave a link to that in the description below as well. And he wasn't really intending to buy a modern electric car, but he saw this and he just really wanted one. And I think because the prices are actually starting to be a bit more reasonable now with these, they were horrifically expensive, actually, to buy, in a way, even with the grant. But they're even worse now because the basic one's 38,000. When this car came out in 2020, because of the government grant and other things, the base model with the 134 horsepower motor was only about £26,000 with the grant. And so you think about how much more than a new one is, but because electric cars depreciate a lot more quickly than normal cars at the moment, it's actually sort of worked out quite well for somebody who'd want a car like this. There is a granny lead in this car. It was an option. It lives under the floor, which is good. And you just want to use that on an emergency only, because if you don't, you'll be charging for 19 hours, which is not good, even with that small battery. The more normal way of charging it would be to use a Type 2 cable, and Honda do give you one of those. In which case, using like a wall box or one of those slower public chargers, you'd be sort of getting to about 100% in about 4 hours, something like that. So it's not too bad. Really though, the sort of person who'd want a car like this would either live in a city all the time, in which case it would be fine, and then you have maybe a home charger, a little wall box, or they have another car as well, which Ryan does. And I would, if I had one of these, I'd definitely want another electric car with a much greater range, or alternatively, just a normal combustion car, which of course Ryan does, for the longer journeys. But if you're commuting to work, say 20 miles a day, and you want to do it in total silence and comfort, and maybe you want, I don't know, to kind of have just the latest technology, and this car is full of such amazing technology, then this would be absolutely ideal. Right, we'll cut out of this traffic in a second and we'll go for a little bit of a more spirited drive, shall we? So, London taxis famously had a turning circle of about, I don't know, about 25 feet. This one is 30 feet, but because we've got the engine in the back, roundabout, no problem at all. I remember when I first saw this car at the Goodwood Festival of Speed in 2019, where I was a guest of Planet Auto YouTube channel, and it's just amazing. I can't believe something like this is just available to buy, and the fact that they're very rare. I think there's, you know, like less than 5,000 of these in the whole country, makes it even more of an interesting car. I think this colour is also good. The lime colour that you saw in some of the press cars, I don't think you can get that anymore. I looked on a website earlier on, and that's not available anymore. I think they're probably winding down sales of these in this country because they've got lots of other new electric cars coming. The ENY1, I think, which is based on the current Honda HR-V, will be out quite soon. It's probably going to appeal to more people. This is one of these cars, you either want one or you don't. The 500e that I tested back in 2021 was very much that sort of car, very much aimed at maybe a similar type of buyer. I prefer this though, and there's two reasons for that. One of them is it's got 5 doors, which is brilliant, and I just prefer the styling of this. I think this is an amazing looking car. Before you say to me straight away, the boot's really small, yeah, it is. The boot is really small. It's 171 litres, and the electric motor's actually underneath the boot floor. It's rear-wheel drive as well, like a Volkswagen ID3, which I've also tested actually. Tested that also in about 2021. But if you lift up the boot floor, I mean, the charging cable you'll normally use with this one, we've actually got a 3-pin cable in here, or granny lead, some people call them, as well as the tyre inflation kit and the pump. It's all in there, locking wheel nuts. But the charger you'd use most common, this Type 2 charger here, it has to go in there. I mean, you can fold the seats. What's really weird is you can't split the seats, which I find amazing. I think mainly what you're supposed to do is if you do have kind of a family or whatever, then you don't buy this car. Simple as that. You need a lot more space. And we've got a bench. I mean, it looks fantastic, but it is only a 4-seater, this car. I just really like all these materials. It feels wonderful to have two completely different types of fabric on this door and this stitching, and everything feels really, really well made. I can really understand why somebody would want one of these. I mean, yes, it's expensive. It's cheaper now. You can buy a second-hand one, and prices start at around £16,000 for one on the used market, which is a lot less for the new one at about £38,000. And yes, the range isn't massively good. This car's got the 17-inch wheels, so it's a little bit less than the standard ones. But if you're going in the city and you just want to make a statement, you want to be somebody who stands out from the crowd, then this car is absolutely for you. I'll try to take a seat in the back. As you can see, we've got frameless doors all round, and when you pull the door handles, either these sort of semi-hidden ones at the back doors, or the ones that are hidden in the front doors, the window glass goes down a little bit. I love the colour of the seat belts as well. It'd be sort of like this kind of, I don't know, kind of almost pewter colour. I really like that. It's actually not as bad in here as I thought it would be. The biggest problem is actually getting my knee in. And you can put your feet underneath there, but there's not too much room. It's really not a family car, this. It's, you know, something that you'd have in addition to the family car, perhaps. And if you've got a couple of children, the seats will fit in here, because you've got Isofix on both sides, if that's what you need to do. And actually, you could put a bit more luggage on top of this parcel shelf here. You wanted to light things, of course. And you've got some very big door pockets, but everything feels so nice. Look at all these lights inside here. Look at all this. Obviously, you've got side curtain airbags and things like that in there. Also, we've got this light here. I wonder what that does. I'll have to ask about that, actually. Right, if I get out of here, it's not the easiest thing to do if you're in any way tall, but actually the headroom it's okay. Where you want to be though is in the front of here, and I'll just take the key out of my back pocket, so I do have it with me. Now you can get an app, the My Honda Plus app, which allows you to make a digital key. You could even share the digital key with someone who'd be driving the car, but we're going to use the standard key here, which you know, most of you who are watching this video probably will still want to use the standard key. So getting in is not a problem, but once again, it's just completely different from everything else we've ever seen. More and more cars these days do have these cameras where the wing mirrors should be. And if I close the door, we look out the side of the car, you can see that they're there. And we've got futuristic noises, and we've got start, and we've got this little control here. There's so much to sort of take in. We've got screensavers on here. You can, I don't know, have your passenger actually put in some sat-nav directions for you using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and move them over to this screen here. It's just a lot to take in. You also have this mirror, or you don't. But only on the advanced spec cars, by the way. I don't think I'll be using that. It's not actually that useful. I did try reversing with it, but because of where it's mounted, you can't really see too much. So drive mode selector is just sort of here. This is the gear lever. Park, reverse, neutral, and drive. I also think we're going to try some one pedal driving as well. That will be fun. It's similar to the Nissan Leaf e-pedal system. 21% charge at the moment. I'm afraid Ryan's going to have to charge on the way home back to Cambridge. What I'd like though is actually got quite a few physical buttons. Like a Tesla, we've got buttons here for the volume, stereo volume, change track, home. We've got button here for the heated steering wheel that comes as standard on the advanced models. We've got adaptive cruise control here. That turns on and off the speed limit warning. So power button's right over here, which is interesting. And that's for configuring some of the cameras. We've got so many cameras in here. We've got, I think, 4 cameras for the surround system. What I'm going to do is just put it into reverse and we'll see what that looks like. There we go. So we've got the wing mirror cameras here, and then there's the rear camera, and there's the surround one, so you can place the car quite accurately. And if you really want to, you can also do that, but I personally wouldn't do that. To put it back into park, I mean, where do you start with something like this? One thing you might want to do is actually put the handbrake on when you actually stop, because it doesn't automatically come on. You might be able to configure it, but you have to remember to put it on if you actually want to use it. So hopefully Ryan's got somewhere to charge. But we've got down here, and I am really happy about this, we've got normal controls for the heating and ventilation. They're not in this enormous kind of touchscreen type thing, although this one's not touchscreen here. These two, though. And I am so happy about that. I cannot tell you how wonderful that actually is. Just amazing. Heated seats as well, multi-stage heated seats. We don't need those today, though, of course. I mean, I'll put the key just sort of down there. We've actually got 2 USB ports here. We've got an HDMI in if you want to play with a PlayStation or something like that on here, or whatever you want. Nintendo Switch, I don't know. 12-volt socket there, and this is a 230-volt 3-pin plug. Does that mean it has vehicle to load? Answer in the comment section below. I really like this wood. I mean, a lot of people have said it's really strange, you shouldn't be in a car like this. I really like it. I think it's brilliant. I think the look of these doors is lovely. I think it's brilliant. The way that this car actually has this fabric in here. We've got quite big door bins in here as well. Again, the materials are just really nice. They're kind of top grade. We've got normal controls here for the lights and indicators, and control there for the wipers. Actually got a rear wiper in this. And then we can go through some of the menus. I think we can just scroll here. Look, there you go. Look at that. Trip information is in there. The home button is range and energy, speed and time, audio, phone, navigation. Let's see what navigation looks like out here. Yeah, just pointing southwest. We've got one. Why would you need to use that when you've got these? But it's there if you want it. And then all kinds of other little controls. We can go back using that button there. And there's speed alarm, I think we'll turn on and off, seat belts, maintenance, safety support. Let's have a look at see what kind of support systems we have. Road departure mitigation, which apparently we're going to turn off. Blind spot information system, brilliant. Low speed braking control. Collision mitigation braking system. I think that's for more low speed things actually. So loads and loads and loads of safety equipment. I think Honda call it Honda Sensing. So it's amazing how you don't really need to kind of necessarily take your eyes off the instrument panel here to get through all the things you might need to know. Information there, and then we got the range and energy, which I'll just put it back on because that was what it was on when I got it. And the car's actually done 4 miles per kilowatt hour, which for an electric car is really, really good. So let's have a look at these two 12.3-inch displays here. I don't want to spend too long doing this because the video will just be too long if I do. But we've got navigation here. You can use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Power flow meter we can put on here. We can have the screensaver. You can have an aquarium. Plug in your PlayStation, whatever you want to do. Trip computer's probably very similar to the one we've got on there. Yes, it is. Smartphone connection, Bluetooth audio, safety config. And then we've got all the different safety systems there, just reminding you about them. We can go to setup here about them. Yeah, preceding vehicle proximity warning distance, adaptive cruise control, ahead detected beep, adaptive cruise control cut-in, lane keeping assist, beep, you might want to turn that off. Lead the car departure notification system, you can just have the car move off when someone in front of you is moved. Traffic zone recognition display, side camera view, and then there's Honda Parking Pilot. I can't demonstrate that today because the car park where we are is really empty. You can see on some of the cameras when we've actually put on that. If you really want to, and you can go over here, you can actually put sat-nav directions on here. The passenger will put it in rather than the driver, which is very safe actually. It's a really, really good system. And then we can have interior things here. I mean, just play around with this all day. You say, what exactly do you need? So this needs to be configured. It needs to be bound to the car. That's why it's not working at the moment. Ryan's going to do that later. He's not long had this car actually. But yeah, I mean, these just amazing. I just hope you can turn some of this down a bit at night, because this would be very distracting having, you know, all these screens. You've got 5 here and a 6th one here if you put that on. So that's a bit of a problem. Also, we've actually got a sunroof in here as well. Amazing. So it's not so dark in here because the windows are relatively small and the glass tint is quite severe. So you might actually kind of want to open that at some case. We might actually open that for when, you know, the next driving section we do, just to get a bit more light in. But you know, normal controls for the mirrors, normal controls for the windows, power folding mirrors, of course, in this, and everything else. Wow. Yeah, let's just discuss the charging thing at the front actually before we take it out for another drive, and also I'll get my secret mission documents out and we'll see if they fit in the glove box. Interestingly, the car must have a dust sensor on it, because the lights have come on to actually kind of guide me at night if I want to charge it. So there are various ways of opening the charge port. I'm just going to do the most simple one and just press this button here. So we've got Type 2 and CCS. I think you can just flick it with one hand. And there you go, you can open both just like that. And we have got some protection from the weather and things like that if you open it up. And just closes like this. It's actually tempered glass on here. Now the 12-volt battery for the car and a lot of the electrical systems are underneath here. There is a way of getting in there, but you have to actually part the wipers differently, so I'm not going to do that. What I will do is go out for another drive, viewers, I think. So we're on some faster roads now. I'm going to put it into the sport mode again. There we go. Yeah, the response to the throttle is definitely different, and also the steering has really weighted up. It's an amazing car in the sense that so many modern small cars have a torsion bar or torsion beam rear suspension. This has, just like the old DG Civic, a multi-link independent rear suspension, and you can tell this car is almost sort of telepathic where it wants to go. And the acceleration is very brisk. It's very brisk indeed. I mean, obviously, because it's an electric car, the faster you go, the less efficient it is, which is, you know, in some ways a bit annoying, but it means that when we were stuck in that traffic, we were hardly using any juice, and now, you know, we can enjoy ourselves on a bit of faster road. So we'll just go round this roundabout here, and we'll just see how it corners. I imagine very well. Apparently Honda have engineered this car for 50/50
Honda personal assistant does not have a data connection.
Oh,
please try again in an area with better reception.
Oh, go away, lady, I'm trying to drive. Right, we chuck it round a roundabout. Oh my gosh. I mean, that is properly good. This is one of the best electric cars I've ever driven in terms of handling. And performance, no problem, instant torque. Through the bends, superb. Absolutely superb. I completely understand why Ryan would want to buy one of these. Lloyd Vehicle Consulting stickers, t-shirts and mugs are available by clicking the link to the Google form in the video description below. So viewers, in conclusion, the Honda E, what do we make of this? The thing is that it does remind me of certain older Hondas. The e.g. Civic is kind of set up in a similar way, and they are an amazingly good front-wheel drive car for handling. The original Civic I actually saw at Goodwood Festival of Speed in the same display area as this. Really kind of reminds us of the connection that Honda have to advanced engineering and also just being pioneers in small cars. Yes, the boot is tiny. Yes, they're really expensive to buy new. Yes, the range is terrible. If this car had double the range, I think they'd be able to sell every single one that they could. But as it is a kind of a niche choice. So it can't really replace just a normal, I don't know, combustion car that you're coming from for a lot of people, which is a shame. But having driven this, I think it's marvellous in so many ways. Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video in the comment below, and we shall see you again for more last minute reviews.